large amounts of television is detrimental to your long-term and short-term memory, and is also connected to elderly who become Alzheimer's victims, who develop Alzheimer's. That's because as long as the brain is thinking and learning new things and engaging in complex analysis, even as the brain mass begins dying at age 30, the brain begins shrinking, massive brain cell death every day. If you continue to think and be involved, the body, I'm sure you've all heard that humans only use 10% of their capacity. That's not really true. But the point is, as your brain dies, it opens up new conduits, new neural pathways, and uses more of the hard drive space. So let's say when you're born, or at age 5 when your brain's done growing the physical hard drive, the physical system, the physical mass, the electrochemical cholesterol and water-based computer, that at age 5 it's done growing. At age 30 it really starts dying quickly. But you're only using a small portion, so as your brain gets smaller, it starts using more and more of those areas. When you watch 4 hours of TV, as adults now do on average, and children it's over 5, you'll see old shows where I say 3.5 for adults, 4.5 for kids. It's now grown. People don't talk to their neighbors anymore. They drive through their neighborhood, and you see all the glowing blue windows as people watch television. You ought to be up in a high-rise sometime with a telescope. I've been at friends' houses in New York or Austin looking, at a telescope in their high-rise apartment, and I talked to one old guy. He said 30 years ago in New York, you'd see people living and talking and fighting or having sex or smoking cigarettes or running around or reading, and now all you see is the blue glow of televisions. See, and you don't have to be hooked into a wire to be hooked into a matrix. Your eyes are stalks, outgrowths of the brain, and they're scanning everything with the television, interfacing with it. It's a literal hookup. And then you also have the resonance of the television taught in mainstream, science books. They'll admit now in marketing that the flicker rate is mesmerizing. Switch off TV and switch on your memory. Results of the survey of almost 30,000 people conducted as part of Australia's Science Week also found people who read fiction had better memories than those who don't, while heavy drinkers found it more difficult to recall names. Big jump there. That if you drink something that kills brain cells, that'll happen. But and then it goes on. Here is another report out of the London Guardian today. Just things that I thought would be interesting for you to see. They know all about you. Now, again, we told you this many years ago. I know you laughed. I had people call into this show. One time a guy called and goes, "I used to like you, Alex, but I don't anymore. I work for Time Warner, and you're a liar." And I said, "What about?" And he goes, "You claim the Scientific Atlantic digital cable boxes track everything we watch." And I said, "Sir, it's right here in industry documents." He just said, "No, it didn't." Hung up. Okay. Do you remember when Janet Jackson 2 Super Bowls ago bore her breast and TiVo announced that one of the big DVR companies that, a record 2.something was 2.2 million people rewound and replayed the breast scene, bragging about how great TiVo is. And the Chicago Tribune had never clicked to this, one of their writers, and said, "Well, how'd you know that?" Because it's two-way, okay? So if you don't like reality, fine. It doesn't track what you watch. That data isn't sold. Fine. Believe whatever you want, okay? I just try to tell you the truth here. They know all about you. But this doesn't talk about television. No, this says every time you use an internet search engine, your inquiry is stored in a huge database. Would you like such public information to become public knowledge? Yet for thousands of AOL customers, that nightmare has just become a reality. If you're with AOL, folks, you're nuts. Andrew Brown reports, not to mention they have bad service, on an incident that has exposed how much we divulge to Google and company. And then it just goes through how everything's being tracked and they're using the data and trafficking in it with your name. All those store discount cards, it's all tracking you, controlling you, actually figuring out what you've got to buy so they can jack up prices and cheat you. I know, you don't want to believe it. Fine, don't believe it. Also, big studies came out just a few weeks ago, major universities, one in China, one in England, clear connections to massive liver, kidney, and bladder cancer, to sodium and stannous fluoride in the water, especially in children. And they're now adding health warnings in the U.S. to Ritalin, admitting heart explosions heart palpitations, retardation of growth, retardation of brain development, a bunch of other good stuff going to be added that we told you about 10 years ago. Now it's mainstream for you. I'm sure you'll just still throw the methamphetamine down your kids' throats. Cancer vaccine may be ready for schoolgirls in Australia. They're already trying to make it mandatory here. They want the government to pay to make the kids take it. It's a vaccine to stop cancer viruses that give your daughters cancer. Most vaccines have cancer viruses in them, but go ahead and enjoy yourself. Just in closing, I'm sure you saw this. People say, well, why didn't you go down there and go to the press conference and confront them? At this point, things are so far gone. I'd just rather get on the air and expose these people. Plus, I was going out of town the next day. But there's Schwarzenegger and Perry, two men that have the same taste. And these guys are good conservative leaders. It says, going through the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem, and they just love America oh so much. And then they had the left come out and protest them and claim that they were very upset because that they want to close down the border. While Schwarzenegger and Perry are pushing Bush's guest worker program that is total blanket amnesty. So see how that shill operation, that scam works? The left comes out and protests that you're being mean to the immigrants and you want to shut down the border. And then conservatives see that and think these guys are really conservative when the official American Union plan was signed in March of last year and the CFR's plan was implemented word for word, hundreds of pages long. This is a Council on Foreign Relations. And in here it says an American Union. It says national ID cards for all of us. It says that we will merge with Mexico and Canada. It's all official and will be totally complete by 2010 and has already been officially signed, being implemented. And these guys are all in the document, meeting with the Mexican and meeting with the border governors openly already in joint Congress together, just like we've had joint congressional congresses, federal congresses down in Mexico.